good evening, everyone. Tonight on Books and Bounty, welcome. Thank you for joining Books and Bounty Live tonight. I'm your host, Stephanie Henderson, joining you each and every Tuesday night here at 10 Eastern Standard Time. We have a few folks right in the chat tonight. Iguana Iguana, thanks so much for being here. A quick shout out to the writing and reading community here on Twitch. Make sure you are following Books and Bounty on Twitch right now. We are live on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. However, we are only guaranteed on Tuesday nights to go live on Twitch as we are exclusive, not exclusive just yet, but we just made Twitch affiliate and we'll be increasing some of the content, some of the different formats we're introducing to the platform soon, as well as exclusive giveaways and other value being added to the Discord server in the Bookish Brigade shortly. So make sure you're following on Books and Bounty on Twitch. One good reason, as I mentioned earlier, the giveaways while we were in the early supporter zone is if you're following on Twitch, that automatically gets you a chance to enter any of the bookish giveaways here at Books and Bounty. But at the 6 mark, that's going to be shutting down soon. So make sure you go ahead and secure that automatic entry now. As well as we're trying to grow the newly the newly finalized, I think we're there should be almost approaching a year now, writing and reading creative channel here at Twitch. I joined the community here last fall and they have welcomed me with open arms. You see them in the chat now. They're a great supportive community. There are a bunch of writers, authors, editors, producers, screenwriters, as I mentioned before, bookish developers and tech folks who, for example, Coffee Quills has built a game to help gamify your writing accountability, and many others. So follow us here, while you're here following Books and Bounty. Make sure you hop on over and browse the rest of the writing and reading category. So tonight on Books and Bounty Live, we're going to explore the day in the life of indie bookstore owner here in Baltimore. And despite the distress of the COVID-19 pandemic in Baltimore and other places all over the nation, I've held witness to the birth of a modern literary renaissance of writers, poets, enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, and multimedia storytellers. Known at one time as the city that reads and forever a city of neighborhoods, it's no wonder that neighborhood bookstores are the literal cornerstone of this modern community-centered arts movement. Tonight, Tia, Miss Konnoisseur Hamilton, mom, CEO, journalist and publisher, community literacy advocate, and founder of East Baltimore's only Black woman-owned indie bookstore, stops by the virtual She Suite to discuss how Urban Reads cultivates community, advocates for Black well-being, and returns power to some of our most marginalized and disenfranchised voices. But before we turn over to the virtual She Suite with Miss Hamilton, I just want to give a quick plug, as I have to do, for Ink and Inspiration. Ink and Inspiration is a curated intimate series from Books and Bounty and Friends, such as our partners Elevation Global Media Group, JNF Enterprises, and The Chill Spot by Notre Maison, for Black and Indigenous authors, literary enthusiasts, industry insiders, and those who support them to celebrate community, connection, and culture. Our inaugural affair is February 8th at the headquarters of Elevation Global Media Group in Nottingham, Maryland, right across from the mall. It's indoors, it's free parking. Tickets start at $50 for an all-day pass that gets you access to not only the book fair, bookish market, all the traveling book nook areas, but a full day of curated panels, workshop, and sessions, such as prioritizing community and service journalism in cities like Baltimore. I think it's going to be a fun panel from writers and readers groups in Baltimore and how they've cultivated community and impacted social change. Dr. J.T. Rohn of Rutgers University, Africana Studies, will be presenting some groundbreaking research on the life and legacy of poet and community activist Joan Jordan. We'll also be joined by Donnie Glover himself, my lifelong mentor and CEO and founder of BeMoreNews.com, as well as other scholars and industry insiders join us in those panels. We'll also be introducing a writing workshop based on Not Just Words, Writing as Liberation by Nicole Yard. You can get your book now at booksandbounty.com. There's a link there, or you can pick it up the day of the workshop. Again, $50 gets you access. $50 gets you access to all of that and more. We're building out more and more value to that ticket every day as we speak. I have some big announcements coming tomorrow. Or there's also a $25 session pass that gets you 2 hour entry. The sessions are about 15 minutes to an hour or so. Get you entry to the session as well as all of the above, the traveling book nook, book fair, and vendor market. Registration closes this week. There's still opportunity to apply. I think we have 2 in booth spaces left. We do provide the tables and chairs, but there's plenty of display option in the traveling book nook areas. We're taking all genres and agents. If you have questions, put them in the chat. I'll get to them after the interview today, or you can email info@booksandbounty.com. And as always, booksandbounty.com/events. All right. So without further ado, let me turn it over. Just want to make sure everything's up and running. Who do we have on Instagram? Hi, Tia. How are you?
Amazing. And you?
I'm doing quite well tonight. Thanks so much for being up late tonight with Books and Bounty. We have a few folks who have joined us. I just want to see here. We have Essential Love on Instagram, also booked with Carissa. Monique, known as Monique. Hi, welcome. Known as Monique is also going to be a featured vendor at the Ink and Inspiration inaugural event on February 8th. So thanks for tuning in tonight. And as always, thank you to the writing and reading community who has joined us on Twitch. We have Juana Iguana, Alan, Bill the Duck, and some others here. Thanks for the raid. So Tia, I'm going to read a little bit about you because I want to get this right. Because honey, you are doing the daggone thing, and I'm so happy to finally get in front of you, get to know you a little bit more, get to hear more about your journey. But let the people know a little bit more about Tia, Ms. Connoisseur Hamilton,
Yes.
multifaceted. All right. Mother, entrepreneur, CEO, producer, journalist, publisher, prison youth community advocate, motivational speaker. Tia Hamilton is a serial entrepreneur and founder of East Baltimore's only Black woman-owned operated indie bookstore. Y'all know I big up all
With a
my indie
storefront.
bookstore with a storefront, brick and mortar,
Mm-hmm.
honey. And
Yeah.
let me tell you, we big up our bookstores and indie bookstores here in Baltimore, and we're going to get a little bit into that the little sort of the literary renaissance that you and others are acting as a cornerstone here in Baltimore. It makes me so proud to see it and to be happening in my city, in my hometown. And like myself, Tia understands the power of language, of the art and the words that we speak and that we write, and how not only reading is power, but the knowledge, the cornucopia, the bounty that we get from it, how it empowers us. And in 2017, Tia founded State versus U.S. Magazine, a unique and much needed voice for the often forgotten and maligned incarcerated individual and their loved ones. Each volume, and you should be proud to say, Ms. Hamilton, is archived in the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture Library in Harlem, New York, and at Johns Hopkins University. Recognizing the need for these voices to be heard from her intimate experiences, Ms. Hamilton has become a lauded and passionate reform speaker from correctional institutions to universities. Re-empowering Black voices in Baltimore and beyond, Tia's voice and impact reaches far beyond the Beltway. Tonight we'll talk about her road to becoming a bookish entrepreneur, what we can find at the store, and what's next for Miss Connoisseur herself.
Yeah.
Welcome, Tia.
Thank you for having me. It's late. I've been on the phone. We in session with these new laws, the prison reform laws and cannabis laws. So this is like one of my busiest times. I'm busy all year,
Mm-hmm.
but it sets in session. So
Mm-hmm.
between now and May, I'm gonna be having these long conversations up
Mm-hmm.
late night talking about these bills, how we're gonna fight them, what we're gonna do to rewrite them,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that stuff. So some of my team is going to Annapolis Thursday to start testifying on these cannabis bills. So I got a lot going on.
So let's talk. Let's start there. Let's start from forward and work our way backwards because one of your most recent endeavors in mission is around cannabis equity and entrepreneurship, especially for Black and Brown folks, which is most negatively impacted our community the most. And quite frankly, we need to be benefiting from it the most. So let's start there with the Maryland Cannabis Equity Collective. Tell us a little about that and tell us how your day went with today with some of those phone calls. What were y'all talking about?
So Maryland Cannabis Equity Collective is a collective of entrepreneur hemp and cannabis business owners.
Mm-hmm.
And we also and a few of us is formerly incarcerated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we also understand the power behind our black dollar and what it does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So our job is to advocate. Everything I do is about teaching, giving lessons, getting black and brown folks to understand it's nothing about us without us.
Mm.
So
Yes. Yes.
our group is an advocacy group explaining to black people the the things that they have access to in the cannabis business. Some people just, matter of fact, many people think that the only way to have cannabis in your business realm is through a dispensary. They don't know about being a grower, being a processor, being security,
Mm.
because a
Mm-hmm.
dispensary needs security.
And they
They
pay.
don't
They
know
pay good.
about doing labels for cannabis companies and producing these things. So it's a lot of it's called auxiliary businesses.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of businesses under the cannabis umbrella that many people don't know. So it's our job to not only let them know, but direct them to the right direction
Mm-hmm.
and let everybody know, yo, we have been the ones that have been impacted by this the most.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
America is on the seventh to ninth reading level, but Black America is on third and fourth. And we at 34% of the incarceration than any race, which is the highest.
Yes.
And in Maryland alone, 72% of us are incarcerated. So on the graph, you got Maryland, and then you got it says United States. It says
Mm.
Maryland, then United States. We are the most incarcerated. But out of that 72%, 55% of that comes from Baltimore. And and 15 neighborhoods are affected.
Yes. Let's talk about yes. And being Baltimore, being a city of neighborhoods, tell us about why Urban Reads as a literal cornerstone in Waverly, right? But also as a cornerstone in understanding the value of what of how independent bookstores and micro businesses, small businesses can become central to the impact in their communities. Tell us a little bit how Urban Reads was sort of the spark for, what happened from the magazine, but how it has branched off into so many other things.
Yeah, because I the idea of urban reads, first of all, I never knew I was gonna be a bookstore owner. Let's be clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I never knew I was gonna be a publisher of a magazine. I didn't know any magazine publishers personally, and I daggone sure didn't know a bookstore owner. And these things it was a blessing. It was a blessing. God even brought me home from my incarceration, which led me to this. And I always, when I was running the streets, I always said, Lord, you give me the opportunity, I'm gonna bless some people. This is my opportunity. And this is what I'm doing. I'm blessing humans. And when I did the magazine and I saw the power in it, I did it and started it without even knowing anything about magazines. And I'm driving to Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
and I dream a lot, whether it's
Okay.
daydreaming or in my sleep. I'm a dreamer at all
Keep that
times.
vision. Yes.
So I'm daydreaming. And I said, yo, I'm gonna open up a bookstore. And that was July 2019, December 2019, Urban Reads opened.
What I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's
So
that
I
is a
speak
drive.
everything
Yes.
into advancement because no one wanted to give my magazine a space. So that's why I opened the bookstore, because I needed my magazine to be seen by
Yes.
some people.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't go to bookstores for the magazine. I went to places like Downtown Locker Room, Shoe City,
Right, where
City
it
of
would have an
God,
audience, exactly, where it
where
needed to
where
be
all the
heard.
hood dudes are, right? Because
Right,
this is what it's about. It's about them. My
right.
magazine touches on wrongful convictions, corruption in police, prison, and government, and success stories of formerly incarcerated with some mental health in there. So it was in my head, I was like, yo, I'm going down to the downtown locker room because that's where all the men who be in these streets shop. Downtown locker room rejected me. So
Mm,
I opened up. So I was supposed to open up in my diamond. 3 days before I was supposed to open, they told me that what she say? She said a crazy word, and I was too political. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, perhaps you need to look up the word political. I said, well, perhaps I come and you tell me what it means.
right. What does
Because
it
I
mean
was
to you in
pissed
this
off.
moment? Right, exactly,
Exactly. And she was a
exactly.
black lady as a manager of Diamond Mall.
Mm, mm, mm.
So I ended up not that the next month seeing the storefront, and I ended up getting it.
So speaking of
I
that
signed
store,
the
oh,
lease,
go ahead, keep
and I
going.
ended up getting it. So, and this is how urban reads flourish. And then Jamila T. Davis, you know, you heard of Jamila T. Davis before?
I heard the name, but we have not been in company together.
Okay, so look her. You could Google her and see what she does. But she's
Hmm.
also formerly incarcerated and in this space. But Jamila, she came to the event and she said, "T, you're gonna take this literacy piece by storm. Stay on task." And then I started a literacy camp for us.
Mm.
Then I started um, getting the word out to the people. And I opened up right before I opened up December 2019. COVID came in 2020, in
Oh
March
wow.
2020. So I survived
Yeah,
all of that.
yeah.
And it was then I understood people need what I got. So it flourished into something phenomenal. And I got my youth summits that I've been doing since 2012. Now I have a home for them. So I block off Barkley and Greenmount and we party.
Yes. You know, that's something I was just talking about this with my fella. I miss old school Baltimore block parties. And, you know, we had that tragic incident that happened down in Westport. And I miss them so bad. Like my mom, when I growing up, that's my birthday parties. Shut down the block, get the permit and everything. We having a block party. Like
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that, and that's something I would love to see happen again. Again, going back to Baltimore, being that city of neighborhoods, having that storefront in Waverly, and I was when I sent you some of the discussion questions about for tonight, and what I talk about all the time, especially when I talk about people who aren't from here, I say, no, y'all don't understand. There's a Black literary arts movement, renaissance going on in Baltimore. There's so many stories like yours. Even Snug Books, Dreamers and Make Believers, Agree to Reads popped up right before the pandemic, right? And have actually been able to not only grow from that space, right? In that tragic space, but also branch out and become community cornerstones. You now sit on the chair, you're on the board for the Main Street, Waverly Main Street Business Association. Sorry if I butchered that. And I know that we had the Baltimore Book Festival, City Lit Project hosted the Baltimore Book Festival in Waverly last year. And Baltimore, and if y'all for out there who aren't from Baltimore, Waverly is, to me, I would say, such a good sort of micro example of what Baltimore is in itself. It's so kitsy. It's chicken box places next to like a chocolatier, next to a beauty supply stop, next to a liberal bookstore, next to Urban Reads, next to like it is Baltimore to me in so many ways. Tell me why Waverly, and tell me what do you feel happening going on in not only the black art space, but the black art space when it has to do with, like you said, feeding into ourselves, empowering ourselves, giving power back to disenfranchised voices. Where do you see this going in the next few years?
So why Waverly? This is actually my second business in Waverly.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a bail bonds officer. I am 20 years retired. Well, I retired last year after 20 years. And
Congratulations.
thank you. So I was just driving on Green Mile. My mother had bought my son some uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Hermes is the uniform store.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it's on Green Mile.
Yep.
And for some reason, it was mad traffic, backed all the way up. And I'm like, why is all this traffic here? And it was literally, I stopped right in front of the store.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked over and I saw a for rent sign. And I pulled over, I said, yo, son, go handle your business. I'm gonna call these people.
Mm-hmm. And you just
I
go.
went to go look at it the next day. I saw my friend, my homeboy, walking across the street because he already put a bid in it.
Mm,
I said, let me have a conversation with you. And I told him, I said, yo, you can't have that.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna change the world from this building right here.
Yes. Yes.
He was like, girl, get out of here. I'm putting a barbershop right here. I said, all right, Tone, I need this space, yo. And I'm gonna let you
Mm-hmm.
go in there and do what you do, but I need this space. The next day, I was in Alabama because I was doing court watch on a case. And he called me that morning and said, I thought about it. And you're right. Go ahead and change them lives. You can have it. I told the lady and I called my mother. I said, take her 500 right now to hold the space.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I come back from Alabama, I'm going to go get it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I came back and I went and got it.
That's what I'm talking about. So tell.
So
Go ahead.
it to me, it's I tell my kids, we can be anything we want to be. We can do anything we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
We just gotta go get it.
Go get it.
My daughter in the hotel industry. I said, you want a hotel? We could open one.
Go get it.
She was
Shoot.
like, what?
Buy a
Yeah.
block and make a boutique series, girl. Yes, exactly. That's something
I
the
said, we
city
can do
needs.
whatever we want to do. The
Yes.
question is, what are we going to do?
And I think that's a key point. You touched on it earlier when you even mentioned in the cannabis industry how there's so many auxiliary um, careers and businesses and ways into the industry. And I tell people all the time, especially black and brown children, who are like, I want to write, I want to be a writer, and I want to be a writer. Yes, right, get the story out. But there's so many ways to get money in this industry or to have a career in this industry, and I think it's about that exposure, right? It's about letting them know that there's other dreams out there, exposing our people to everything and all those possibilities, and really giving them those choices. Um, this, and speaking of choices, and we're talking about you being a multifaceted leader and black woman. Recently, I saw this in the bio you sent me, and so I went digging a little bit more. Miss Connoisseur, I have your cover, The Muted Pain, up on the screen right now underneath your name, so it'll be shared when we share the video today. But you won a Black Girls Who Write Award last year. Tell us
Yeah.
what the award was for and a little bit more about Miss Connoisseur, the author.
So it was for my writing and reporting in State versus Us magazine.
Okay.
So um people want these stories.
Mm-hmm.
Um so many people when I first started told me don't print. We want downloads. I could tell you right now by on my hand and yours how many downloads I've gotten with this magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody want to feel this magazine is so well put together. You can't even you pick it up. You be like, what? Because I take care and I take pride in what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody in this capitalistic mindset, I'm not. Because when this thing goes in prisons to these men and women, I don't need it ripping apart, falling apart when they finish reading it and they sharing. I want this magazine to thrive. So it's quality in this magazine, and that's what they're getting when they get these stories. So when people read this magazine, they thrown, they off, they don't know what's going on, because
Pick them up.
I be telling these real live stories that,
Yep.
and I'm responsible for 9 men and women coming home from prison. with this magazine. Like, I'm a legend in the prisons because I'm telling the stories that no one else will touch. Like, I'm cracking cases and I'm proving inside the magazine the cases that are being cracked. For instance, issue 7,
I'm writing notes right now.
Brandon Lords.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Lords was inside Indiana Wabash prison and he was murdered.
Hmm.
But they
Mm.
trying to say it's suicide. So always remember, when you hear someone committed suicide in prison, always have the question mark above it.
Always. Oh,
Because these COs be killing people.
the rage that they have.
They
Mm,
killing
mm,
people. And they going home and sleeping good at night and kissing their dogs in the mouth.
mm. Girl.
So it's very
Mm.
important that I make the public aware of these challenges that we are suffering inside these institutions. Prison illiteracy at 76%, that's at an all-time high. So it's my job to make sure they got literacy programs and literacy projects and books so
Yes.
they can read in prison. I got men who get the books from me just to read to other men
Yes.
to help them learn how to read. Rick Ross, my brother, Freeway Rick Ross. Do you know he was a tennis star? Got a college scholarship for
Did not.
tennis,
I did not know
but
that.
because he couldn't read,
Mm.
that's why he went to the streets because that college put him out. Now, what if that college said, well, we're going to get you a tutor
Right.
while you go ahead and bring attention to the school?
And I
They
think
gave up on him.
they did.
And that's what a lot of these children are going through now. These facilities who claim to want to educate, help, and be a community are giving up on our babies right before our eyes. We won't even have Rick Ross, the drug dealer. We will have Rick Ross, the tennis champion, or something.
Something else, right? Something would be different because if someone we talk about you being being advocates for equity and empowerment and more not just equality but equity as well, right? And I think that was a key point in his story was that yes, we want you to bring all this attention, you tennis star and athlete and all that, but why could not someone step in and bring that equity in the situation to empower that young man, right? And when we talk about Baltimore youth and we talk about the literacy rates in our own city, what are some of the other things? I know you have, I want to talk about the GoFundMe programming and other programming and events that you're having upcoming so that folks can know how to make not only an immediate impact for Urban Reads, but with the other programs that you're doing right now. So tell us a little bit about some of the programming you offer through the storefront. You mentioned a little bit earlier about the summer youth summit, but what is some other programming that you offer through the storefront in Urban Reads?
Okay, and real quick,
Mm-hmm.
Rick Ross
Okay.
didn't learn how to read until he went to prison. And he was in
Okay.
there some years
Now,
before
I
he
think I
learned
did
how to
know that.
read.
I think I did know
And
that
when he learned how to read, he got himself out of prison
because why?
because he learned how to read.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw his court papers and he
Mm-hmm.
knew he had been wrongfully convicted. Like he was in there for nothing. I mean, he was in there for something, but it wasn't what they said he was in for. So that's what these many challenges that these guys go through. Once they go in, they don't know how to read.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they learn how to read, 10 years done pass. Then they spend in the next 10 years learning how to read and going through their paperwork. Then they spend in the next 5 to 10 years trying to come home. That's the whole process.
And
That's the whole process.
with one of the things that have been a theme that sort of stuck with me, it's one of the themes that start guiding the curation for the Ink and Inspiration series this year is writing and reading for liberation. And if this is not a true testament to how reading is a political act. It is a form of empowerment. It is often a form of rebellion and resistance, and definitely a form of liberation.
Yes.
To be able to read and comprehend, as you can see, it literally allowed Rick Ross, Freeway Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross,
Yeah, the
to
real Rick
the
Ross.
real Rick Ross,
Yeah.
to gain his freedom, to gain his liberation. And tell us some more empowering stories about some of the authors that you've met along the way.
Oh man. So this I can't remember her daggone name. She wrote a book called
And we
The
can get it
Mighty Flower.
if you remember afterwards. We'll write it down and get it afterwards to make sure it's in the description and post and everything.
Okay. It's
Hmm.
The Mighty Flower.
Okay.
I can't remember her name. Dr. Annabelle, The Mighty Flower. Her book is so inspiring because she's a doctor, but when she had her son, he had a rare condition and
Hmm.
it ate away his brain. And the doctor said he wouldn't live.
Hmm.
And she put her mommy hat to the side and put on her doctor hat and came up with something in that lab to save her son. And it worked. He's 10 years old today.
Wow. Oh yeah, we're
And
gonna have
she
to.
talked about how cannabis saved her son's life.
Okay.
So all those doctors who kept trying to kill her son, Mama Bear came up and said, "Nope, we're not doing this," and she saved her son's life. So that was very inspirational and empowering. Um, when she came to my store, it was a dope. It was a dope moment to see that it's proven cannabis never killed anyone. You never OD'd from cannabis. If you have seen or heard that cannabis was laced with something, but the cannabis actual plant don't do none of that.
Mm-mm.
So that was very inspirational to see that she was able to prove that with some other proofs with other people, but that her case study was successful into cannabis. So that's just one of my stories.
What's some others? What are some books and things that we could see featured in the store?
Fawn
Or
Weaver,
okay.
Love and Whiskey.
Oh, that sounds
She's a
interesting.
bad. She's a bad.
I
I
gotta
love
write
me
this
some
fast.
Fawn, honey. She like the auntie. Um, the Black Butterfly.
Yes, that's a
That's
good one.
Dr. Lawrence Brown.
That's a
I
great
have
one.
sold, I think I've sold the most copies from both, like right here, out of
Mm-hmm.
all the bookstores right here, because he recognized what I do and he
Mm-hmm.
sends all of the support. So
Yes,
when I know when he's speaking because I get an influx of sales.
that's awesome. That is awesome to hear. Yeah,
Somebody
that.
just ordered 7.
And
I gave them to them today. So so the Black Butterfly is definitely must read because
yes,
it explains all of the problems in Black communities, from redlining to education to incarceration. It talks about it all.
yes. And
It talks
specifically
about it
here
all.
in Baltimore, like it
Yeah.
specifically lays it down. And if for those don't understand, they call it the black butterfly and the white owl. And the white owl runs along from North 83 South Falls Road area down along Inner Harbor, Harbor East, and on over to Canton. Whereas the black butterfly makes its way around that. And that is a wonderful, wonderful text. And I'm gonna make sure we get all these copied and linked to in the description. So tell us more about the muted pain.
About who?
The muted pain.
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got it. I'm not the muted pain. The hunted pain. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Oh, so that's a book I published with guys who. So my ninth person that I helped bring home, Delmont,
Mm-hmm.
he sent me this book. He sent the Haunted Pain to me. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, T, I want you to publish this book and dedicate it to all women of domestic violence.
Hmm.
And it's a book of a collection of letters from grown men apologizing to the woman they hurt, whether it was their daughter, their
Hmm.
wives, their mother, their
Hmm.
aunt, or whatever female they wanted to dedicate that letter to. It's a letter to the female they hurt. Man, them dudes got that book, man. It was crazy. They wives got it. They
Hmm.
mothers have it. And they was like, this book is so touching. So yeah, it's a real one. It's a tearjerker. And I'm working on my next one,
Okay.
um, which will be a collection of letters from dudes, men and women, who are incarcerated. And they are letters to their younger self.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do with that book, I'm going to direct that attention to that book to the juveniles that's institutionalized in hopes that we can save a few from turning up that path. Because it's
Hmm.
basically like it's a letter to their younger self. So to prevent them from going that to where they are, I want to shop this to them juveniles
Hmm.
and try to make it a part of a reading that they must have
I was
as
gonna
far
say.
as their conditions.
Yep. I was gonna say you make it make it put it a part of the curriculum. It sounds exactly where it
Yeah.
should be. It also sounds like that other letter. There could be a lot of women, especially Black women, that probably need to read those letters, even if it's of course, obviously, if it's not someone from their loved one directly. Those words could probably do a lot of healing in ways that people who have the loved ones and family members and kin that have been affected by the prison system here in America, especially in Baltimore. Um, I think it could really, really, get a breakthrough for some folks. It sounds like I definitely want to read that one. So I know I'm gonna be stopping by the school, the store soon to pick that up. Um, all right, so we are headed towards the end of the interview, but I have one more question, and that is about your role as a mom. We often, especially as Black women, we wear our maternal roles on our sleeves. It's something we can't hide and put away. We are auntie, we are mom, not only to the ones we birth, but to many of those around us. Tell us about more, not only why it's important to build generational wealth and have your children understand financial literacy, but to show them, um, the type of legacy that you want to leave as a Black woman. So tell a little bit about one, about the legacy you want to leave to them, but two, how in the world do you juggle it all, honey? I want to know a little bit about more who's on your team because goodness gracious, we also know that it takes a village. So,
So my daughter, she's adopted.
okay.
I adopted her at 13.
Mm-hmm.
So when I became from auntie to mommy, it was a struggle for her because now I'm beating your tail. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, but she's 31. She's good. She's a supervisor at a hotel at a real famous hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she's thriving. She lives out in Vegas. She has no children
Go ahead, honey. Do the daggone thing. That's what I'm talking about.
because I ain't playing that.
Right.
And yeah, she just living her good old single life. I mean, she's not
Sounds
single. She have
like it.
yeah, she have a partner, but um, she just my daughter. You know them selfish kind. They don't need children.
Yeah.
They like to travel. They like to spend their money on them and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So, and then my son, like he's super dope. Um, he's just like me.
Uh-huh.
Whole face,
Uh-huh.
attitude, everything. He's about to be 22. He's a senior in college. He grade graduate in May. Um, and he's a business owner.
Oh, okay. Tell us about him.
Yeah, so he does tattoos.
Uh-huh.
So he been doing tattoos in college. He even got the professors, the deans. He
That's
doing all
what
their
I'm
tattoos too.
talking
And you know you ain't supposed to be doing no tattoos on campus.
about. Well, we don't necessarily have to say what campus that is right
But look,
now.
that's
But
the
look,
power of them HBCUs though.
yes, it is.
We look out for each other.
Yes. I have to.
So that's where he goes. He goes to a HBCU
Mm-hmm.
and he's thriving. He has a car. He's super responsible, man. Like even when he was 2 years old, he was responsible. You know what I'm saying? So
Uh-huh.
Kamani never gave me a problem ever.
That's a
And
blessing.
him and my daughter are 10 years apart.
That is
And
a blessing.
he's February 11th and she's April 11th.
Oh, well, I'm an April baby too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we going to Bahamas and we do the family trip to the Bahamas for Kamani's graduation. And I do this in my sleep.
That's what I'm talking about,
I do,
mama. Mm-hmm.
I still answer my text for them. I answer my text for anybody though. But I answered the call. It's nothing I'm doing that I'm not gonna answer their call.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I
Yep.
could be in it. If they was to call me right now, I'd be like, hold on.
And for everybody out there, she's serious about that because look, when I asked Miss Connoisseur Hamilton for her bio, and look, we didn't even get into all the awards and recognitions and things of that nature. The first thing on that list, the first thing in the bio is mother, and
Yeah.
so the that for me as well is like that is the role I always come first. Even in my career in publishing, I had Jay my last year in college, so was started the family but unexpectedly, but who expects it most of the time? And when I came back to Baltimore, I was just like, I found a blessing in my own career because it was just like it allowed me to work from home a lot. And like before the work from home was a thing, I was working from home because I was able to work in publishing, and being able to prioritize that, and also live my dreams as a single parent. Jay's dad is in Colorado. He's an awesome dad, but we are literally almost a nation away, apart from each other. And though I have and that brings me to the question about the village, because I know from personal experience that it takes a village. So tell us a little bit more about who's on Tia's team and how do you, find moments for yourself to ground yourself, center yourself, and, refresh yourself to get back out there and keep it going.
So when I came home, I had to leave the block alone.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that if my son gonna have any chance, I gotta do right. I gotta be home. So I started surrounding him around different type of people. I started putting him with men, grown men, husbands, so my son could see what a man does and how he's supposed to move. Um, all of my friends and my homeboys, they got wives,
Mm-hmm.
all of them. So my son, when he goes with them, he sees that. And he see the respectfulness. He see doors getting open and all of that kind of stuff. So my son is super respectful. And I surrounded him with that on purpose. See, I knew what I had to do. Some
Mm-hmm.
women don't know what to do, yet alone knowing how to get it accomplished.
Yeah.
And they not willing to ask those things either. A lot of them just willing to just have attitude around it. But as women, as Black women, we have to do better with our children.
Right.
We have
Right.
to teach them better. We have to teach them that device they hold in their hand all day is a tool for research and reading.
Yes.
It's no reason why these grades are third and fourth grade reading level. It's
How?
no way.
It's,
When we got a Google at the palm of our hands. I
yeah.
told my youth worker the other day
Mm-hmm.
because she called my business partner and said she couldn't come to work for a week because her ride was in an accident. And I said, what the hell happened to buses?
Uh, please talk about
Train.
that. Talk about it. Talk about
What
that.
happened to at least a lift? So
Because
about
I,
time she called me and I said, yo, what we doing here? I said, your generation make me sick.
ugh,
I
don't get me on
said,
that.
You called me for everything else. You couldn't call me about a bus?
How do I do
She
it?
gonna say, because I don't know how to catch a bus. You're 18 in high school and you don't know nothing about a bus?
Look, and they can Google to learn everything else. You
Said,
better.
do you know? I said, what are you talking to me on? She said, a phone.
Haha.
I said,
Yep.
you know, you can use that to research stuff that you really need, right? Your real resources, not this shit you watching on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can really use that and found out how to get your bus routes and what you need to do. Because guess what? You're 18. You're a senior in high school. So this is it for you, buddy.
Yep.
And if you don't learn how to get out of that one lane and that's where you're going to stay and come out and get uncomfortable,
Talking
you're
about
going
that
to be
hustle.
uncomfortable on purpose
Yeah.
because you put yourself there. I
Yep.
said, y'all don't have no hustle, no grind, no thoughts, no processing or anything. And I blame your parents
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because they're not teaching you. They allowing these phones to teach you and the phones ain't teaching you nothing.
And that's the one thing I have found the most is that, especially with the young folks now, the ones that are just coming out of high school and younger, is that the lack of processing and critical thinking, like independent critical
Out the window.
thinking, has gone out the window. Like, I don't know how to ride a bus. So let's start with, how do you learn things? Like, how do we
You're
figure
not
out
even
as
writing
a young
cursive anymore.
adult? Yeah. And when it comes to, again, back to that re-empowering our community through language and learning and storytelling, not telling our stories and getting our stories told. You are hitting it from both ends, Tia. And I just want to say, first, thank you for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, you make me proud to be a Black woman from Baltimore doing the things that you do. And finally, I hope that this conversation is the beginning of many more between us. I want to keep this conversation going. I want to see how Books and Bounty and Urban Reads can continue to advocate and motivate and re empower Black people in this city. And I think you can help teach me how to do it. You know, I'm getting from the whole thing, Books and Bounty, a little bit a history here. I started it wholeheartedly at the end of last fall when I was laid off. And one of my main goals in this first 6 months is to like build out my bookish community, reactivate my bookish community, get back from behind the desk. I've been in publishing forever, but it's been from right here, right? And it's people like you that remind me of how much power it is in what we do, and that there's power in this desk. There's power in these words. There's powers in the
Absolutely.
advocacy around, again, reading and writing and how it liberates us, particularly as Black people and as women. So thank you so much for not only being here on Books and Bounty tonight, but continue to keep up the work that you're doing. Whatever help you need, call on me. Let's continue to work, and I want to build on this relationship. So Tia, thank you so much for being here tonight. But before we go, I have to put everybody on the spot who's here tonight. Always ask folks for their, and we talked to, I'll make sure when I go back and listen to the description, I'll pick up some of the books and titles you recommended. But I always ask for a bookish thing, person, organization, or event, or place, or all three, that you would like to leave and recommend with our viewers here tonight.
You say a place?
Place, event. It could be something upcoming for you in Urban Reads. It could, or organization that you would like to give a shout out. A book that's approaching or that you would want to recommend. We have a few of those already, so it's up to you.
So an event. So I've been talking to some Black people
Mm-hmm.
and come to find out, don't nobody go to DC to this museum. So I started it last year and it's sponsored by John Hopkins. We do a
Okay.
free trip to DC to the museum for a day trip. And it's open to anyone who has never been.
Oh,
But it's a
wow.
limit. You only can take 2 people per family
Okay.
because it's only one big coach bus. And we're gonna go to DC. I give giveaways on the bus and everything. And
Oh.
we go and just learn. All I want you to, When you get back on that bus and I ask you, give me the top 5 things you learned, that should come off the top of your mouth in 5 seconds. Because it's gonna be so much stuff that you learn. And that's all I want. I want for our people to be liberated and for our people to understand there is nothing about us without us. So
Mm.
we must come together and stop playing and acting like what's happening is not
Yes.
happening. Because it's happening, baby. Now it's either in my Harriet Tubman voice.
Tell them.
I can save you if you know you're a slave. If you don't know, I'm going to leave you. And please don't come looking for me to save you after I left you.
Huh.
Because you are compromised and I can't trust it.
Can't trust. That's the
Because
key word there. Can't trust it.
I can't trust it. Because where we going is to liberation. And that's the only people I want around me are people who understand what's going on
Yes.
and want to do better and
Yes.
fight it. And that's the only way we could solve these problems.
Yes.
So go to urbanreadsbookstore.com, click on the events, and you see the list of events and sign up for that event and share it. If you need the flyer to share, go to my bookstore page on Instagram and grab the flyer.
I'll share. I'll make sure to share it. Y'all share it as well. Spread the word. And if you have not been to the, National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington D.C., it's part of the Smithsonian Institutes. This is an awesome way to get there for free. You and a member of your family can go. And we'll make sure to share more about it here on my socials as well. I just had It's Me, Katie, in the chat. Shout out to Katie. She's on Twitch now. She just said everyone needs to hear this. So, Katie, make sure you share. If you guys are listening right now on Instagram or
Hey, Katie.
YouTube, hey, Katie,
Hey, Katie girl.
make sure y'all share the live stream tonight. As you know, we go live every Tuesday night here at 10. I'll be posting highlights from the next tonight's show within the next week or so. But to catch the full show, you may have to tune in every Tuesday night on Twitch at 10. And
Sorry, my hair all over the place. It's been a long January.
it's look,
It's been a very long January. I've been on the phone every day from 6 in the morning until now.
keep it up and look. Tell me, text me and let me know next time you're in the shop, and I make sure I come bring you coffee, help keep you motivated a little bit or something.
I don't do coffee.
Oh, what you do? Tell me what you do. See, I do
And
tea. actually a tea drinker
I
myself. Like
like tea. I
that's
like
what's
tea.
in here is tea.
Oh, Urban Reads is reopening next Saturday.
Oh, what's with that?
Next Saturday, Urban Reads reopen. So
Okay,
my
Urban Reads.
vegan restaurant is open and flourishing now. So now I can focus back on the bookstore, and that's reopening next Saturday.
Awesome. We have to do a big promo on that. And speaking of, that is actually the next Saturday. We have ads starting in about 2 minutes. But next Saturday is Ink and Inspiration, which is our first inaugural book fair. And I think I emailed about this, and we'll talk offline more about collab and potential pop-ups for different events. But thanks, Katie. Katie said great chat. Thank you so much for being here and being a special part of Books and Bounty. But Tia, we got to keep this conversation going. I want to know more about what's going on. I'm congratulations on reopening the shop. Congratulations on continuing the momentum about cannabis equity, especially in the business and entrepreneurial realm. And keep going. Keep it up. I know every day it's going to be that. I've been up since 6 a.m. and having calls. It is a hard, like, even now I had to literally, my teenager, I have a queer black child, and I have to tell them, like, block certain hashtags on their social media now because anxiety driven. Every day they're coming home upset, throwing down the book bag, and it's because of Trump. And I said, I can't have some white man having this much power over your emotions every day.
Girl, I went and got
I
the third because I know.
Lord have mercy. And that's it's time for maybe to me to make that call again. I got to call her because it's gonna be a ride, honey. And
It's gonna be we only on day 8, so
well, look, that's gonna be the next conversation. I think that's probably next time we come back around. I think we'll have plenty more to talk about what's going to be going on this year, politically and otherwise. But until then,
Okay,
Tia, thank you so much for turning the page here with Books and Bounty tonight.
no
And
problem. Thank you.
thank you, happy writing and reading. We'll talk soon.
All right, see you guys later.